sitting in too at Tracy. Um, Last time I went to board there, they told me, hey, go to Donovan, for this Category T program, which is kind of like the programs I did over there in Vacaville. And yeah, so I remember that point in time, those memories, and events at Tracy were, you know. And then I went to Donovan, and now at Tracy I also tattooed quite a bit, and I wrote that story about tattooing in prison. It's in Tattoo Review, issue 29. It's called Tattooing on Mean Street. And so I was really getting into tattooing. I would tattoo every day, every day. I did whatever it took, to not get caught. And some of the staff I had swayed, let me tattoo a little bit, And then, so I transferred to Donovan. And the guy's like, hey, brother, I heard you know how to tattoo real good. All these guys are on me. So this is 93 to 96, the end of 96. So I tattooed all the time. I always had a cellie wanted tattoos. Like somebody wanted tattoos, they send me the money. I'd move them in, tattoo one of them. And then the next guy, move him in, move that guy out, tattoo on him. That's how I did it. I tattooed all the time. And, I made some money off of it. I always told people I tattoo for money. I don't tattoo for drugs or canteen, But I got pretty good at it, And my future reality there was that I was going to get out and tattoo. And I made some connections in the tattoo world, on the streets in San Diego. My homeboy Gary has Ace Tattoo Company, and met Travis, who has Patriot Tattoos in San Diego now. And I used to communicate with him and, tattoo people and read magazines. And so my future reality there was going to be, hey, I'm going to get out and tattoo. There's big money in it. I'm good at it. That was my plan, and for a while. And I kept going to board, kept getting denied, but I also kept getting in a little bit of trouble, And I also got a job as a plumber there, and became an emergency plumber. I worked as a plumber there for 3.5 years. And then, of course, when I went back later, I worked for a plumbing crew for 3.5. So I was a plumber for 7 years, but I learned a plumbing trade there at Donovan also. So those are my memories in that time, from 93 to 96. Mostly was, plumbing, weightlifting, and tattooing. And I remember they took the weights at Donovan. Before I left Donovan, they took the weights and the family visits from lifers. So that's also a memory in time that's not too sweet. But when they did that, it just solidified the mentality of punishment. That their idea of punishment, the people in power at the time, and not necessarily CDC, because the weights were taken by politicians in Sacramento. And you know what? It was not the prison guards that wanted them gone. It was police on the street were saying, hey man, these guys are getting out of prison. They're too big. We can't control them. They're too big, too strong. We can't control them. Well, you're a cop on the street. You got a gun. You got a taser. You got pepper spray. You got all sorts of means of restraining people, all the way up to killing them. Cops in prison, they got a gun tower here and there and spray. That's it. And a billy club. So if they're not worried about us lifting weights, why are you? So they took the weights, man. It was a bitter time. I went out to the yard and guys were stacking the weights on pallets. They could take them off with a forklift. And I was like, man, what the fuck you guys doing? You're giving them our fucking weights, asshole. The weight pile was my deal. That was my release. That was my growth. I used to measure my growth by how much I could bench press. I loved it, man. When they took it, that was just the worst, man. And of course, they took our family visits in October '96, right before I left and went to Corcoran. And that was bittersweet. That was not sweet. That was just straight bitter, because Family visits, man, you know, people call them conjugal visits, boneyards, all that. Those are family visits. Uh, you can have them with your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, immediate family, your wife and kids, and they're to be with your family, strengthen family ties, you know. When they took those, I was like, man, I tried to instigate a little something. Nobody was having it. And of course, years later, you know, they start taking other shit. And I tell them, hey, fuck you guys. When you took our family visits, you guys didn't do nothing. So, you know, fuck you guys. But that was a bitter time, you know. 96 was kind of a bitter time. I got transferred to Corcoran, level 4. Yeah, I went into 3A. They had reception. And it's in a wing, a building that's 2/3 of it is HIV guys, and 1/3 of it is Fish Row. I think it's building 3 on 3A yard. And I thought, man, what kind of shit is this, you know? Level 4 prison with the guys who got HIV and all that shit. I thought, man, this is gonna be a. And they shot me over to another yard. I went to 3A, and there was none of that. There was just, or I went to 3B. It was a whole different deal, you know. It was kind of like I knew some guys, you know. My old cellie Matt was there, and this guy called himself Mountain, who's turned out to be a piece of work. They were there, you know, so I knew some guys on the yard. There was some other cats I knew, you know, some Mexican guys who were homeboys from Dago. And, yeah, so it was, you know, I got there and I thought, man, this is fucked up. There's no hobby, but none whatsoever. So I thought, man, this is going to suck. But it was a level 4 pen. There was a lot of dope, a lot of problems with dope. There were Northerners and Southerners on the same yard. Level 4. It was a 270 design, but still. You got the shoe right there. A lot of guys get kites out of the shoe, you know, do this, do that. I remember when we first got there, about 2 months later, there was a riot with a Southsiders and a Blacks, and it was pretty big. There was some stabbings and gunfire from the towers to break it up. And it was raining out, and I was in the yard, and I saw this kid, man, standing around. I said, hey, dummy, come here, you know, and I walked him around the other side of the yard. He said, what's going on? I go, man, this is fixing to get busy right now, you stupid motherfucker. He was standing by the handball court with the Southsiders, you know, they're all grouped up, ready to get busy. So I had to nab him up, and I took him over to the chow hall. I said, I just watch, you know. I had my radio with me, a little boombox I had. And I had a plastic bag over because it was raining. And sure enough, riot jumped off, and they put the yard down. And man, it took at least 4 hours, 5 hours to clear the yard. But some of them dudes left in ambulances. I remember laying there in that fucking rain with that boombox in a bag. I thought, man, I'm glad I got some music. And man, but you gotta piss. You're soaking wet from the rain. You're freezing. It was a motherfucker. It was a motherfucker. And then after that riot, they locked everyone down except the whites for like 4 months. So for 4 months, only people out on the yard were white dudes, which was kind of cool for us. I was a tier tender in the building, me and this guy, Ricky. And so we did the top tier. We used to go get the food. I used to go over to the chow hall and get the food. And I had a homeboy that worked in the chow hall. And he would make the trays. You know, it's all white dudes out working. I'd say, hey, give me 25 extra trays. Every day, I just served breakfast, you know. So every breakfast, I would get 25 extra trays. And I'd start on this side one day and serve. And if there was like, you know, one dude, kind of big, whatever, a couple big dudes, I give them 2 extra trays. Sometimes I just give them one. You know, I'd split. I'd make it about halfway around the tier. Then next day, I'd start on the other side and work my way, give out extra trays, you know. Then this one dummy fucking got started talking smack, you know, like, you know, you must not be from LA. If you're from LA, you wouldn't give me Tracy and Blacks, you know. You just give them to us. And I said, man, fuck you, asshole. From now on, you ain't getting shit from me. If you don't like it, fucking jump on out here. Because they opened the doors to slide the trays out. He was a stupid kid, man. He's the one that started that riot. Actually, he was cause for it. And I told him, man, you know, you don't like that. When you pop your door to put that tray out, just step on out, motherfucker, you know. And he didn't. And after the lockdown was over, they ended up stabbing that dude and running him off. So, but yeah, it was cool. I got to help dudes out, you know, give them a little food. Because when you're slammed like that, on a lockdown, only thing you have to look forward to, man, is your next meal and your next TV show on the fucking TV, which, you know. So, yeah, I got into heavy tattooing homemade ink there. That's really the last tattooing I did, you know. Yeah, but you know, my thing there was still like tattooing, but I was starting to really think I wasn't getting out, you know, and I was snorting crank, partying, you know. My friend was bringing in this, you know, the shit, and I was making money, and then he went to the hole, my friend that was doing the deal with me. And I thought, man, well, I remember being in the shower and he had sold some dope to some guy who got busted with it. And the guy was in the ad sag in the shoe and he sent him a kite. He goes, I got a kite from Billy. I said, what'd it say? Now, Billy's a little rich kid who's a dope fiend, three striker. He's a punk. He's not a fucking stand up convict. He's not a stand up criminal. He's just a guy that comes from a wealthy family who likes to party and he gets busted for drugs. So he struck out. So he's in the hole right now facing another third strike because he got caught with like a bunch of papers. He made a bunch of papers and put everybody's name on them who he was going to give them to. Went to work in the kitchen like 5 in the morning. They found him in his fucking pocket. So he's done. And we're in the shower, you know, and Ricky goes, yeah, I got a kite from Billy. I said, what'd it say? He said, don't worry, I'm not going to tell on you. I said, he already told on you. He goes, really? How do you know? I said, look, dude, if I get busted, I don't have to send you a kite and tell you I'm not going to snitch on you. You just won't get busted. And sure enough, you know, they started raiding his house every day. I did business with Ricky, but he was a fucking heroin addict, so I wasn't really, I mean, we weren't like, you know, we just kind of associates that did business together. So they ended up busting him, took him to the hole, and I told my cellie, hey, fuck this, I'm done. And I flushed a quarter ounce of crank right there, 1997. I said, I'm over it, dude. I'm done. And never looked back. Never used fucking hard drugs ever again. And I remember that event for that time, you know. I was 35. You know, I thought, man, you know, 35, 36 years old. And yeah, that's when I quit using. Good shit, you know. Actually, when I did that, it was one of the best things I did. You know? So then I remember going to Lancaster from there, and I tattooed my homeboy Jack's chest and arms, and on C yard, and then I went over to A yard to get a job as a plumber, and because that's what I do, and I ended up working as a plumber for a while, and I got a job in arts and corrections, and then my projected future reality was, if I get out, I'll sell my art. But I was really starting to think this is it. So, you know, my thing was I'm just going to be an artist in prison. I started working in there. I met Ray, was an instructor. He used to come in, give me some pointers, and I used to help him teach art class, you know. And then Ray was a cool dude. And then once they cut the budget, I started teaching art class. And I had guys in there painting, and we used to save up our artwork for fundraisers, for help you know, abused children, their mothers, and it was cool. Made a lot of money for those people, thousands. And I had a couple of interviews in newspapers over the program. It was pretty cool. Started going to chapel, Catholic Mass, and but my artwork really started to improve because I got to paint every day as a job, and I got to use their material, and the paintings got donated for the most part, so it was a cool deal, man. And so now my thing was, if I don't get out, I don't get out. I'll be able to sit in prison and paint. That's my thing. They took all the hobby shops except for San Quentin. And I thought, well, I'll just do sell hobby. I'll just do artwork. They'll never take art, And I did that for like 4 years, a little over 4 years. It was great, man. My artwork got good. I got to meet some cool people, do some cool stuff. And, I was clean. And, money was, I had a pay number. But it wasn't about making the money and partying. It was just about doing my artwork and just living. And now I started noticing too, though, how bad the food was really getting. Just terrible, almost to the point where you couldn't eat it. And Lancaster was kind of fucked up because if they found a cell phone on the minimum yard, they would search the whole prison, all the level 4 yards, everything. They would search everything. They would take our TVs over to R&R in a truck and x-ray them. TVs would fall off the truck. They had a flatbed truck. I was like, man, this is bullshit, They were searching that pen all the time. They were, locking us down all the time. But, I had a cell full of art supplies. I had an easel in my cell. And, all the cops, everybody knew I worked in arts and corrections. For the most part, I never got bothered. I remember one time they searched the cell and this cop goes, hey, Sergeant, he had my easel. He goes, what'd I do with this? He goes, put it back in the cell, So it's when I really started noticing, man, that the staff know who's involved with drugs, who's involved with gangs, violence. They know everything. All these dudes snitch, And so they weren't hearing my name. I'm sure they ask about you, and like someone tells them, oh, that dude's not doing shit. He's doing his art. He's doing this. So it's when I really started noticing, man, when you start doing the right thing for the right reasons, life gets better, Even if there were staff around that didn't like it, there were more staff around that did. Because when you're doing the right shit, you're not in their fucking hair and you're not a problem. Cops don't like problems. Prison guards don't like fucking problems. So if you're not a problem, they don't fuck with you, really. Which was a lesson for me when I got out of prison, Parole officers don't want problems. And I haven't given them any. And that's why they recommended I get out parole. I've never been a problem for them. So anyway, those are the events there at Lancaster. My new future reality was that I was just going to be in prison and be an artist. Then I went to Donovan from there. I went back to Donovan when my points went down, and they took my art supplies. No hobby. I thought, man, this is something I never fucking thought would happen. I mean, they took my paper, my pencils, everything. And, I got it back. I wrote the warden. I said, hey, man, when you took the hobby, you said it would be through attrition. They took all the leather working tools and all that kind of shit. But as far as art, they said it would be through attrition. When you use up your stuff, you'll no longer be able to buy anymore. And I said, you said that, man. You took our stuff, So he gave everybody's stuff back, all the art shit, to everyone. And I just stuck it under my bed, man, and waited. Now my whole game plan was, I'm going to get down to San Quentin. They have hobby. It's an open pen, level 2. That's where I'm going to go. And that's where I went. I ended up going there. I remember Donovan was nothing like the first trip through. It was actually kind of really messed up. They kind of ruined it. Inmates just got too crazy. And once again, it's drugs and violence, which go hand in hand. They just ruined that pen. They took the hobby away. They took a lot of stuff away. They started restricting your yard. Uh, every day it was a different reason why you can't have yard, which is stupid because not having yard builds tension, which leads to violence. And they know that. Staff know that. They know if they keep you locked up, they give you, half a day yard every 2 or 3 days, and then say, hey, no yard for 4 days, and then they know it causes problems. People get pent up anger, energy, and it comes out, man. It comes out in the form of violence. And I also started noticing, man, that drugs have become not just a party, but it became like a mandatory thing that guys had to have. So it just reinforced my decision not to use drugs, to flush that speed and just say, hey, fuck drugs, yeah. So I ended up going to San Quentin from there, level 2, and that was hobby. I got to do art, but I also just started thinking, that prison sucked, dude. Prison was fucked up. Here's all these old dudes that were lifers that used to be, about the shit. And here they were whining and complaining like bitches, snitching on people, trying to get out, just all kinds of fucked up shit, man. I actually hated it there. I used to talk shit to motherfuckers. I used to tell guys, hey, what are you going to that program for, dummy? You're going to die in here just like me. And people didn't like me, but I didn't care. There were a few good dudes there, don't get me wrong. I met Tommy there and some other guys. It was cool. But my thing was just hobbying, and I got to do woodwork there and do my art, and it was all right. But then I got in trouble. I started seeing the old me crept back up in there, and I started smuggling tobacco. And yeah, I got busted for that tobacco, put in a hole for 5 months. People root through your fucking belongings because you're not coming back because they ratted on you. I remember asking my counselor, hey, how come I can't go back to North Block? And he started laughing. He goes, man, all them guys told on you. They don't want you back over there. Straight out. I was like, man, that's fucked up, Yeah, it was just, it was a motherfucker. So now, it's a little paradigm shift, I'm sitting in the hole and a couple guys went home. Guys that were not whiny, snitchy punk lifers. Guys that were just regular dudes. They were not in the mix real tough, but they weren't punks. They were stand-up guys. They were just regular guys. They went home. And I thought, man, I fucked up. So I got transferred to Soledad North, which I had always heard was a good place. It was known as a lifer graveyard. A lot of my really old friends, like Jimmy and Chester and all them guys, they were all there. Guys I knew at Tracy years ago, Quentin, different places, they were there. And yeah, it was no hobby. Once again, so. But now I'm starting to, my whole mentality is, what? I'm going to get the fuck out. I knew when I went to board, I was going to get a 5-year denial. I knew that, so I got to Soledad. There's no hobby. I had a nice radio I picked up from the tobacco sales, which in prison is a very hard thing to do. It's no easy task to get a decent stereo. I had a Sony Sport CD boombox. They're white, big tube speakers, In a prison, that's the equivalent of having a badass home stereo system, surround sound, all that crap you had. That's just the ultimate. So I had a decent radio. I had a stack of CDs. I love music. I did get some art paper. The no hobby thing was just like there's no hobby, but there was hobby supplies around from when they had hobby. And I met Danny Rivera. He's the guy that taught me how to paint, and he was there, and he slid me some paper, some other shit. I got some watercolor paper off the package company. Danny gave me some old paints, so I would just play around with art, every day. I did some of my t-shirt patterns there, and I just listened to music, buying time. I thought, man, I went to board a year later, and I got a 5-year denial, just like I thought. And this guy chewed me up one side and down the other, and he's like, you're involved with criminal behavior. It's not just the tobacco, it's the whole, planning out how to do it, figuring out how to smuggle it into the prison and selling it, distribution, blah, 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 big criminal enterprise. I'm thinking, yeah, okay, whatever. But he was right, I broke the rules, so I got my 5-year denial, and I went and did it, and I started getting in different groups and programs, and just say, hey, fuck, I'm gonna get out. I'm gonna get out. The no, you're not thing was still there, but my mindset was I'm going to do what it takes to get out. If they don't let me out, well, at least I did what I had to do to try to get out. You can't I wasn't going to let the idea of the previous 20 years, that reality, I wasn't going to let that hinder me from doing what I had to do. There's certain shit you got to do. You got to have a trade. I had that. I had GED. I had that. I had been through numerous groups. I'm going to do more groups. I'm going to keep going to NA. I'm going to keep doing what I do. Stay on track. And you know what? When you're clean, I've been clean by then, from 98 actually. This is like 2013. So, I've been clean for quite a while. And, it made it a lot easier. Those decisions are easier for me. Clean, it was a lot easier. And now, I thought about my friends and my partners that did these programs and got out years prior to that, and they were stand-up dudes. So I'm doing the programs now, and I'm learning. I'm not just going through the motions like I did with a cat T and all that shit. I'm actually learning shit, And then I got Valley Fever there. I remember that. Those were events in time that, and so anyway, guys started telling about t-shirt patterns. So I did the Living Dead Girl and the Viking, some other patterns there. And there was a Mexican guy, a cop. He was a tier cop, and he's like, "Oh man, those are nice, man." I go, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, yeah." He goes, "I collect t-shirts," and he goes, "I got t-shirts I paid $45 for." I go, "You fucking serious?" I've been in prison since 1979. Ain't nobody paying no $45 for a t-shirt. But he goes, yeah. He goes, I got shirts that I don't even wear. I buy them for the artwork. I wear them maybe, 2 or 3 times a year. Just collects them. I thought, all right. So I started doing the t-shirt thing, And then they come out with all this high-risk medical bullshit. And because I had Valley Fever, I had to go over to CMC West, which is ultimately where I paroled from. But my thing there was, from Soledad was t-shirts, man. I can do t-shirt stuff. I'm kind of phased out of the tattooing. I did some tattooing on this little homeboy JR and on a homeboy named Hooker, But I was really just drawing and painting. They had hobby there. So I got to draw, I got to paint. I did all my t-shirt patterns there. And, what really changed me, man, when I got told on for that tobacco, I thought, I didn't fuck over anyone. People won't just let you do you. Not openly, not in a prison setting especially. And so I just decided, man, I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna do me. The way these fucking lames are doing themselves, I'm gonna do me. I'm not gonna change. I still cared about people, still looked out for people, but it's time to focus on getting out. And fuck these dummies. Um, they snitch on you, man. I mean, for what reason? I couldn't figure that shit out. So anyway, it worked out. I did these programs. I got my fucking T-shirt shit together. I got my head together, and I got paroled. But it's funny because like I talked about doing woodwork and thinking, hey, when I get out, that's what I'm gonna do. But even though I'm not doing it, I did a little bit of woodwork out here, but I don't have a place to do it. You gotta have a garage or a shop or something. But the thought, that whole, you wrap your head around, I'm gonna do woodwork when I get out. I'm getting good at it in here. I can be good at it out there, and I know I can sell it at these different places, and this is how I could do it. It's what I did with my T-shirt idea. I think woodwork's a little different, but that helped carry me through almost a decade of prison because, well, not quite a decade, but at least 8 years, because I got to do woodwork as a job and as a hobby. I studied magazines, books, different shit. So that carried me through a period of time in prison that was difficult to get through. But that was my reality at the time, and it's strange how reality changed for me, but it did, and I mean, now I'm out here doing totally something different. If I ended up with a spot with a garage where I could do woodwork, I probably would do it. Yeah, but see, the different types of motorcycles you think you want to get when you get out, and thinking about motorcycles, that carried me through a long period of time. Thinking about family, thinking about where you're going to live. You create realities for yourself in there when you're in there, and that's how you get through. That's how you get through, months and years of time locked in a cage. You either that or you're going to go nuts. You create a reality of, this is what I want, this is what I want to do, this is how I'm going to do it, it's where I'm going to do it, and you just run through it in your head. I used to build motorcycles, in my head, and then I would paint them. I'd paint guys riding those kind of motorcycles that I wanted to build. Um, you know, those are realities, man, that aren't real. It's just the thoughts are real, but the actions, you may never get a chance to do it. But just the thought that you might and that you want to and you have an idea how to do it, that's what carried me through. And so now I'm out here doing stuff and I love it. And hey, we love you guys who watch us and support us and subscribe to us. We love you guys, and the Hard Intentions family, man, is just amazing. I want to thank you for all the encouragement, and I want to thank all the people that say I helped them. Trust me, you helped me way more than I could ever help you, and I want to thank you for communicating with us. So just remember, whatever it is you do out there in the world, do it hard. Thank you.